Two guys and a gal talking about movies. Two guys and a gal talking about movies. Two guys and a gal, they're talking about movies. And you know they are really groovy. Two guys and a gal talking about movies. Two guys and a gal talking about movies. Two guys and a gal, they're talking about movies. And we know they are really groovy.
Hello, guys and gals all over the world. We have two guys and one gal here to rank and discuss our favorite war movies. Now, we might not like war, it's good for absolutely nothing. And we don't like actual war, but the depictions of war on the silver screen have made indelible marks on our souls. Some of my favorite movies have to do about the strife and the glory and the overcoming that war represents. Some of the worst periods of human history have been represented on screen, and this is a cathartic way that we can process how we feel about great tragedy and catastrophe. So there's always a philosophical insight, a psychological and emotional thing that we can learn by watching and analyzing these movies. Let's bring on your guys, Manny Zamora with the cool hat and Rory Penland with the cool glasses. What's going on, guys? You guys look so fashionable today.
That was an amazing opening. Very good intro.
Thank
Yes.
you. Thank you. I
Um,
appreciate that, guys. Thank you so much.
I can tell a lot went into that, and I appreciate it. I, for one, appreciate it, just like I appreciate our veterans
Yes, happy
Yes.
and
Veterans
the
Day.
service.
That's yes, when and of course, and I come from a military family. I'm one of the only people in my family to not have joined the military. I wanted to join JAG, but I opted out at the very last moment. But I thank you to all of our veterans, and that was definitely something that should have gone in the intro, but we're doing it right now. Thank you so much.
I actually signed up for the Gulf War, the first one, and at 21 years old, they told me I was too old. They sent me a nice little card saying, "Thank you very
Wow.
much, but you're too old."
Wow.
Wow.
Well,
So
On
go figure.
Cosmos, we have Jamie Bennett, and she has served. Jay Thompson has served. Dennis Tardon has served. So we have some really great veterans that we all want to thank for their service so that we can have and enjoy the freedoms and to do this show the way that we want to do this show. We get
Yeah,
these freedoms because of that sacrifice, because freedom, of course, we know is not free. So
True.
there you go.
That's right.
just another word for
When
nothing
I,
too good.
We love you too, Chip Cop. We love you too.
yeah, when I saw that today was going to be Veterans Day, I thought, well, you know, there's so many great movies about war and the consequences of war, and just and a lot of them are just just action movies that happen to be set during wartime. So I thought, yeah, this would be a good day to remind us of, first of all, the sacrifices that our veterans have made, and also to kind of just remind us of what the consequences of war actually are. So anyway, so that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this show, and I suspect that this might be the episode where Mr. Penland and I actually have very different different lists.
Renee tipped you off.
No, she didn't.
um,
She did not. She's very.
I will say that we've already done an episode on submarine films, so
Yes,
none of
yes,
those is going to be on the list today.
yeah,
Although there are some good submarine films out there, which mostly take place in wartime as well.
exactly. Yeah. So we covered that. We covered that topic, and now so this is a little bit more of uh, a broader topic than that. So. Well, Rory, do you want to lead us off and
I
give us
may
your number
surprise you.
one?
My number one war film, and I was working in a theater when it came out,
Hmm.
and people at that time, veterans, said, "Oh my God, that's just so scary. That's so close to what it really was," and that's Platoon by Oliver Stone.
Okay.
Um, it's a great story, interesting story, great cast, and Uh, Again, I mean, there were people that were like, "Oh my God, that was too close." You know, I'm having flashbacks now, and it's
Hmm.
hurting me. By the way, I had stitches today. I had a
Oh,
little problem with my surgery,
oh
and I had to go
no.
back in, and they had to go dig a little deeper and
Yeesh.
stitch me up.
No. But
So
you're all right?
I'm okay.
Okay, good, good.
Thumb's still a little numb.
Oh man.
It's just a couple hours ago, so yeah, I'm still a little numb on my right arm, but I'm okay. So yeah, Platoon. Yeah, Charlie Sheen, great performance.
Yeah.
Tom Berenger, again, just so nasty, so evil. Willem Dafoe, great performance from Willem Dafoe. Um, even the littler characters like uh, not Matt Dillon, but his brother.
Oh,
I want to say Jason Dillon, but I don't think that's it. It's something.
no.
It's Dylan.
It's yeah, it's something
The
Dylan.
other Dylan.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, so yeah, great music. Again, Oliver Stone never topped that one. That was his best one, and
Yeah.
yeah, he never topped it. He never got that close to reality.
Yeah. 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 Well, excellent choice. Yeah. Um, I remember seeing it at the theater, and there were there were grown men weeping after the
Yeah,
movie.
yeah.
And you could tell that these guys, they were a little bit older, a little bit, and that they were
Well, he was
Vietnam
there,
vets.
so he
So yeah,
wrote
so
what
this.
they always say. Write what you know, and I mean,
Hmm.
like little details, like the guy spraying the disinfectant, the insect repellent in his shoe to
Hmm.
try to get a furlough out. And then Behringer's character, Barnes, I think his name is Barnes,
I think
calling him
yeah.
out on it and threatening to put a giant centipede in the boot and put his foot into the boot.
Hmm.
Like, you want to furlough out? Yeah, you just know in your mind, oh, that really happened. That's, you can't make stuff like that up. It must have happened.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. It's yeah, exactly. So it's little details like that always give it away as to people who
that
were in
made it
country
authentic.
and know what the reality of it is. So yeah, yeah, absolutely agree. Yeah, I think that was one of Oliver Stone's best movies. Um, and as far as like you said, reality, yeah, he doesn't come close. He tends to play very fast and loose with history. But that one, yeah, definitely he got right.
Yeah.
So yeah. All right. Well, my number one is a World War II drama
Hmm.
starring Lee Marvin called The Big Red One.
Okay.
And this is about an actual unit. It's the First Infantry Division, and their symbol was a big red one. And it it's a little episodic. It kind of reminds me of the old TV show Combat.
Ah,
And Lee Marvin plays a character. He's the sergeant of this rifle squad, these four-man rifle squad, and they are involved in a lot of the major campaigns of the European War. It starts off in Africa, and then they move to Sicily, and then to France and Germany, and finally end with the liberation of one of the concentration camps. And for the most part, oh, and besides Lee Marvin, Mark Hamill's in it from Star Wars.
mm-hmm.
Robert Carradine's in it. As in fact, Carradine's character pretty much narrates the movie. We kind of see it through his eyes. And for the most part, it's pretty standard World War II action drama. But it's that final act, that last act, when they reach the concentration camps, and these young kids. And it's also, I want to say it's one of the first movies that I remember seeing where these kids, they are kids. You see them, these soldiers, as young men, like they actually were back in World War II.
Yeah.
You know, fresh off the farm, out of the inner cities, or the cities, um, thrust into this incredible conflict. And but there's a line where Robert Carradine's character says, "We don't even know. We weren't even sure what we were fighting for." And it becomes clear at the end when they liberate the camp that that's what they were fighting for. That's when the full measure, the full scope of the atrocities that the German army, under the auspices of the Nazis, were committing on these people, on Jews and other undesirables. And there's also the whole conflict with Mark Hamill's character, Griff, who he sort of reveals himself as more of a pacifist. He really doesn't want to kill anybody or shoot anybody. And there's this great line towards the beginning of the movie, after he's failed to, because he's supposed to be this excellent marksman, but he freezes during the battle in Algiers, or at the beginning of the movie, and he tells his sergeant, who is never given a name, he's just the sergeant or Sarge, says, "I can't kill anybody." And Marvin, the sergeant, looks at him and says, "Oh no," he says, "I can't murder anybody." And Sergeant tells him, "We don't murder, we kill, because that's what you do with animals, you kill them." But immediately after he says that, he has this look on his face like, yeah, like he wants to believe that, like he's telling him, the kid, that because he wants him to toughen up and be a soldier and all that. But you kind of wonder if he really believes that, because of something that happens at the beginning of the movie, where he kills an unarmed German soldier at the end of World War I, only to find out that the war had been over for like 4 or 5 hours. And he even tells his commanding officer, tells him, "Hey, you didn't know?" And he says, "Well, yeah, but he did." So yeah, it's a great movie. It's not a big budget movie. It's not Saving Private Ryan. Doesn't have a cast of thousands. You can definitely tell that there were some budget cuts or budget considerations.
If it's Mark Hamill, that means it's got to be late 70s, early 80s, is my guess.
Yeah.
So, and that's later Lee Marvin.
Yes.
Like the Palimony years.
Yeah. No, it's definitely older Marvin. Yeah.
Gotta make a movie.
Yeah.
Got the Palimony to pay.
Exactly.
So I have not seen it. I'll be honest with you, I haven't seen it, but I'll try to look it up.
You should. Yeah, it's like I said, you can definitely tell that it doesn't have a huge budget, but it's still very dramatic and very intense. The characters are very likable, and there's still a lot of, like I said, a lot of action. But it's that last act that really drives the point home, and it's just a gut punch, an absolute gut punch when you get to that part. Also, I rewatched it here recently, and I'd forgotten how many children or kids show up in this movie, and they all seem to gravitate around Lee Marvin's character, around the sergeant. There's this little girl at the beginning of the movie after the battle in Africa. Doesn't say anything. She's just sort of there, and he doesn't really acknowledge her that much, but he's eating this can of, I don't know, peaches or something, and then he just leaves it, without saying a word. Like, he doesn't say, "Here, have this," or whatever. He just kind of leaves it and walks off, and of course the girl starts eating. And then there's another little girl in Sicily who puts flowers all over his helmet, after they've liberated this town and all this stuff. But it's a kid at the end. There's a little boy at the end after they've rescued freed the concentration camp. That's the heartbreaker, and I won't say anything more. but because I don't want to spoil the ending. But it's a very, very good movie. So anyway, so that's my number two. That's my number one.
Speaking of Spielberg, my number two is Schindler's List.
Mm.
And there's the one shot that's got some color to it.
Yeah, the girl in the red dress. Yeah.
Again, there are a few black and white films that I say, okay, I understand why you did black and white, and I get it. So, for artistic sake, it's okay. And that's one of them. And that scene actually makes that stand out even more.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a different kind of war movie. You know, it's from a different perspective,
Right.
and it's a story that needed to be told, and you feel for the characters. Even Ray Fiennes as the German, you know, you actually kind of feel for him at certain times. He thinks he's doing the right thing, even though, and that's the best villains. The best villains are the evil ones who are doing evil, but they feel they're doing the right thing. It's not just evil for evil's sake. So yeah, and just powerful performances. Ben Kingsley, Liam Neeson.
Mm-hmm.
The scene at the end where he's like, oh, I could have saved more people. You know, I maybe if I'd have done this, I could have saved a few more. And just a heart, like you say, a heartbreaker, a gut buster.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful movie. And
Yeah.
again, if you've never seen Schindler's List, yeah, you should. You really should.
Yeah. Just keep those Kleenex handy, though.
Yeah.
So, yeah, very, yeah. And that's the thing about that. I think that's one of why Spielberg is one of my favorite directors. It's that he's able to draw these performances from his cast, but also make the characters, even characters that you're supposed to hate, kind of relatable. Like you talked about the Ray Fiennes character, and it's not, despite the movie being black and white, you realize that the situation isn't black and white because these are human beings we're talking about on both sides, and they all have their reasons, they all have their motivations, and we see that, we get to see that,
Yeah.
and it's not always a good motivation, obviously.
Did it
Rounding
make
up
your
all
top
these.
five?
It did not. It did not make my top five. But I can certainly see why it made yours. So yeah.
A lot of war movies are just that. They're war movies. Like you say, they're just action films with a war background setting. And that's it's just, one action scene after the other. They're propaganda, basically. And they all start to look alike and feel alike. And they have the same actors in some cases. Okay, well, there's John Wayne. Okay, there's Lee Marvin. There's who was the guy? Oh God, he did a lot of war movies. Played Captain Nemo once. Ryan, right?
Robert Ryan.
Robert Ryan. There's another way. Yeah, you saw in a lot of those films. Aldo Ray, there he is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they all start to kind of blend together and look and feel alike. So yeah, the picks on my list go from one end of the spectrum to the other. They're films that are unique in their presentation of war to me.
Right. Yeah.
And again, honorable mentions, are classic war films that I think everybody knows, and again deserve to be mentioned.
Yeah.
Even though they didn't make my top five list, but there's something about them that deserve to mention. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was my number two.
Okay. So my number two, I went a little earlier in. I confine my picks to the 20th century conflicts. So my next movie is called 1917.
Okay.
And it's set during World War I. And this one is kind of interesting because it's about these two soldiers, these British soldiers, who were sent on this mission to deliver a message to this other command about an impending German counteroffensive. And so the movie is all about them delivering this message and everything that happens to them along the way. And what's interesting about the movie, what's kind of unique about the movie, is that it's told almost in one continuous take, or one continuous. I mean, there are edits. It's not, actually one shot, but the way it's photographed, the way it was shot, it feels that way. It feels like you are right there with them.
Rope is actually done in 4 takes.
Oh yeah,
Even though
yeah.
it's supposedly one long take, it's actually 4.
Right.
But
yeah. So
yeah,
this is the same.
I understand
Yeah.
what you
This,
mean.
yeah. Exactly.
I
so
haven't
this is the
seen
same
it.
sort.
But it's on all. I was looking at lists of fantastic war movies to get ideas for the show, and it's on all of them.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing the trailer in the movie theater for it, and it looked really intense.
It is. It is
A lot of
very
action,
intense.
a lot of CGI, a lot of explosions and stuff. And
Yeah.
so it looked like a really intense, action-packed movie.
Yeah. And the CGI, since you mentioned that, it's so well integrated into the story that you're not even aware that it's CGI.
Yeah.
And that's when it's really good. That's the proper use of CGI, when you're not
not
even
just
aware
saying,
of
"Oh,
it.
look at the CGI."
Exactly. When it becomes obvious. And yeah, it's very intense. A lot of stuff happens to these two characters, going from one place to the other. And like I said, the way it's edited, it does feel like one continuous shot, from as they move along, just the way it's filmed. And superb performances. I didn't recognize these two young actors playing the soldiers. Let me. I got the cast lists, and I think that is already mentioned. It's George McKay and Richard Madden play the two soldiers, and
it's
their
a British-made
performance.
film, right?
It's a British film, yes.
Yeah.
And has a mostly British cast.
Mhm.
Benedict Cumberbatch is in it, so there are recognizable names. Mark Strong is in it. Other actors that you probably recognize, but yeah, it's just superbly shot, superbly told. Like I said, a lot of intense action and drama of these two young men having to deal with this harrowing situation, and yeah, it's definitely worth a watch. And I love the World War I setting that you don't really see enough.
I was laughing to myself earlier because I was just gonna blurt out, "Is it World War One?" It's like, when was the War of 1812 fought?
Exactly.
Catchy title.
Yeah. So 1917. Yeah. Yeah. So.
All right. Understood. Good. Again, yeah, this is good actually, because they're getting more titles to look into, because our lists are so different. My number 3 is a classic, George C. Scott Patton.
Oh, yeah.
That just the scene at the beginning in front of the giant flag,
Oh yeah.
But you have Carl Malden, you have him smacking soldiers around. It's this was after the war movie thing died down that they created this. It was early 70s, like 71, I think. And
71,
by that
72,
time,
somewhere in
the
there.
war
Yeah.
movie thing had kind of, like Westerns, it kind of already hit its stride, and it was on its waning. It was waning fast. I remember that the Green Berets got really bad. Like, people evidently didn't like it. They thought it was too fakey, or I'm not sure what it was. Maybe it was too much like propaganda. But yeah, I remember it didn't do well at the box office, and I think only the song from the movie did well. The
Ballad of the Green Berets.
Ballad of the Green Berets. But Wow. Yeah. I mean, it went on. It went on to take Academy Awards, and I think they did tour after, and a couple of other movies that were big, grandiose war movies, but they didn't do as well.
Yeah.
And they even did a TV movie sequel to it because it was so popular. But
Yeah.
yeah, what a great. I mean, if you're talking patriotic war movies, yeah, you gotta see that one. You know, you gotta see George K. Scott doing his
Yeah.
batting. Give me my
Chewing up,
pearl-handed ivories.
chewing up the scenery. Yeah. 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 And of course,
Unfortunately,
it's
he was
based
kind
on
of
a,
typecast after that, though. Everybody was like, "Oh yeah, Patton."
yeah. Yeah. But
It was hard for him to shake it.
yeah. Of course, based on a true story, based on the life of General George S. Patton, who led the I forget what the tank corps was, but yeah, he
Against
yeah,
Rommel,
it's amazing
the Desert
performance. Exactly,
Fox.
the desert. Yeah, yeah, which is a movie unto itself as well. The
Yes,
story
with
of
James Mason.
James Mason. Yeah, but oh, we have a
Oh, do
clip.
we have a clip?
You seated? I want you to remember that no bastard ever won a war by dying for his country. He won it by making the other poor dumb bastard die for his country.
There you go.
And we're gonna go through them like crap through a goose. Thank you for that. We haven't asked Renee what her top 4 movies are.
No,
Yeah,
I like a lot of these. A lot of these are really great. Patton, of course, is great, but we're coming up to a few of my favorites, so I don't want to say anything.
Okay,
okay.
well, if when they get there,
And
please
and
chime in.
Schindler's except for Schindler's List, yes, and I love how they end it showing all the descendants of the people that he had saved and the exponential growth of his heroism and courage and how you can make a difference even if you make a difference with, a lot of people, it turns out over the generations to be thousands of people. So I love that. That was a beautiful thing. And the red dress, of course, to really have you be personally attached to one of the victims. And
Right.
I've heard Spielberg talking about that, the importance of zoning honing in on one person, because there was just so much horror that
Hmm.
sometimes you can get overloaded with horror, and he wanted to make sure that we remembered these are real people. And I thought that was very effective.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Very good.
I'll tell you the
Yeah.
most impactful movie in a war movie. It's not on my list, but it should be on my honorable mentions list. Is the Jojo Rabbit?
Yeah,
Jojo
Jojo
Rabbit. Yeah.
Rabbit with the
Where
imaginary Hitler. Yeah, great
right
Yeah.
ending too. Great
with
ending on that one.
his mother being so cool and so wonderful, and then him, the kid, finding his mother hanging in the square. Oh my God! Very, very powerful psychology.
Yeah. Yeah.
That definitely deserves a mention. Okay, that was my number 3. Patton.
Patton. Okay. Yeah. Cool. Well, my number 3 is a movie directed by Clint Eastwood, who has done his share of war movies as well. We talked about Kelly's Heroes, and he's done some other ones, Where Eagles Dare, and those kind of things. But this one he directed, and it's actually the second part of a 2-part movie kind of deal that he did. The first one, well, I'll tell you this one. It's called Letters from Iwo Jima, and this is about the Battle of Iwo Jima, but told from the Japanese side.
Okay.
We get their side of this battle, this very infamous battle. I think most people remember the flag raising, that very famous photograph of the Marines raising the flags there on Iwo Jima after the battle. But that's the first movie that he did about it, called Flags of Our Fathers, that dealt with that and dealt with that particular group of men who did that.
Mhm.
But the second movie is really more about the battle itself, and like I said, it takes place, or it shows us the Japanese side of it, and everything that they had to go through. And it stars the wonderful Ken Wanatabe as the
Mhm.
commander of this unit, this group of soldiers, and again, it just serves to remind you that soldiers, regardless of their uniform, are human beings. They're soldiers. They're people. And like you mentioned earlier, uh, everyone has their own motivation. The Japanese, of course, they were loyal to their country, loyal to their emperor. They thought they were doing the right thing, defending their homeland, um, and fighting against the West, uh, and so you get to see a lot of that, and you get to see a lot of some of the usual mix of people, some of them are very gung ho and yeah, let's go out there and let's kill the enemy, and then there's some that are like, yeah, well, so yeah, it's really an interesting look at war from the perspective of people that we consider to be the enemy, and who, from a lot of people, maybe still are. I don't know. Um, but yeah, I just thought it was a very, very well made, very one of hey Sandy, one of Clint Eastwood's one of his best movies, one of the best movies
He
that he's
does good
directed.
movies. I know that.
Yeah, he does. He
He
turned
does
out to
good
be a
movies. He's a
really,
good director.
yeah, he turned out to be a really great director as well as an actor. So yeah, but
But we don't
but
want to be talking about just commie shit on Veterans Day in this country. Talking about our veterans, damn it. I'm sorry.
yeah, so,
It's like saying Das Boot, my favorite.
yeah, yeah.
Like, what? No, wait a minute.
So,
Uh,
but yeah, I wanted to throw in something that was like, okay, we need to see
again,
another perspective.
there are a handful of movies, yeah, that show the perspective of the other side, of war,
Yeah,
and you're like, oh, hey, they're just like us, that kind of thing.
yeah,
Um, one of the top ones on my honorable mentions list is both versions of All Quiet on the Western Front, which tells us
mm,
about World War One from the Germans' perspective, from the German eyes.
right, right,
And John Boy was in one of them.
yeah, yeah,
I think Young Gaben was in the first one from the 30s, and really,
yeah,
really well done. And then again, they did the TV movie version with Donald Pleasance as the teacher, and Richard Thomas was the main character. It was a German soldier sent out to the
yeah,
front lines.
yeah.
Anyway,
I think there's been a new version here
probably another
recently.
version, yeah, since
Yeah,
then.
yeah,
Those are the two I remember.
yeah, yeah.
So that was your number three.
That was my number 3. Yep.
All right, my number 4. We're going off the rails a little bit here. Apocalypse Now.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, two of the picks of my top five is Vietnam War era stuff. It's it really hasn't been. I mean, except for those two films, Platoon and this one, Apocalypse Now, it really hasn't shown how insane it was over there for everybody. But you saw it in these two movies,
hmm
and in different ways. Apocalypse Now is obviously a different kind of mission. They're going through enemy lines there in Vietnam during the middle of the war, and they're trying to find a guy who basically is become a danger in that area. He's created his own little cult, and of course that's was Kurtz, right, played by
Colonel Kurtz.
Marlon Brando, very
Yeah,
fat Marlon Brando. And Martin Sheen plays the man that's sent to kill him, basically
yeah,
put him out of commission.
Yeah.
And he's got a boat full of interesting Lawrence Fishburne, Freddie Forrest, Bottoms, Timothy Bottoms.
Timothy Bottoms, right?
Yeah. And when they get there, they're greeted by crazy ass Dennis Hopper
Dennis Hopper, yeah.
as a photographer. Again, gone off the rails. Everybody's gone off the
You're
rails.
gonna judge him, man. You're gonna judge him.
Is he a kind man?
He's a kind man.
So again, yeah, it's an interesting, long story that goes by very quickly. Again, they go from place to place to place, meeting all these interesting people. They meet Robert Duvall as Kilgore. Charlie, don't surf.
I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
There you go.
Yeah.
And they in the redo version where they re-edited it, they see the French.
Right, the extended cut. Yeah.
Yeah, the how do I put this? Outpost? No, French.
Yeah,
it's like a colony.
like
a French colony there in the middle. And again, it's so different from everything else that you've seen in the film there. I mean, and the contrast is so stark. Just a brilliant movie all the way around. And again, it just happens to be there in Vietnam during the war. Yeah. So you're seeing all kinds of crazy stuff, war-related stuff happening as it goes from place to place to place, from point to point to point. So, yeah, we've talked about it before on other shows, and it's an impressive piece of work.
It is.
So it had to make my top 5 list.
Good. Actually, that made my honorable mentions list, mainly because we had discussed it in depth before.
Yeah.
And I wanted to do something or talk about a different Vietnam movie, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Yeah, but yeah, that's a good choice. Excellent movie. I love that movie.
I know you do.
And yeah, I'm a huge fan. I saw it at the theater. I saw the original theatrical version, and then when I saw there was an extended cut, I got that on DVD and play that every now and again.
And even better, the documentary Hearts of Darkness
and Hearts of Darkness,
Apocalypse, one of my favorite documentaries.
Yes,
on filmmaking.
One of the best. Yeah, exactly. One of the best.
Done by Coppola's ex-wife.
Yeah.
Producer Gaylan Hurd.
Right. Yeah. Really
went on to fund Terminator and other James Cameron films.
Yeah. So, yeah, excellent. Excellent documentary. Great movie. Both of them. So, and of course, Hearts of Darkness refers to the original novel, the original Joseph Conrad novel that the movie's based on. So, little pun on that. But okay, well, my number 4 is another World War II movie, and it's Tora Tora Tora, the story of the bombing of Pearl Harbor. And again, this is one, like you said, after Patton, when war movies kind of became popular again. And I think they kind of fell out of popularity because of the Vietnam War was going on at the time. And but once it started winding down in the early 70s, Hollywood felt secure enough to bring back the war movie, and Tora 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 is one of those big budget movies. Like I said, it's about the attack on Pearl Harbor, but again, you get to see it from both sides. You get to see the American side, and you get to see the Japanese side.
Right.
And what's interesting is the Japanese side of it was filmed by a Japanese director. And then you had the American director, whose name I have forgotten, unfortunately. I can look it up.
I'm going to pull it up in a second here. I'm pulling it up right now.
But again, one of those.
Richard Fleischer.
Oh, Richard Fleischer. Okay.
Yeah. Toshio Masuda, Kinji Fukasaku, and Akira Kurosawa, uncredited, were the directors on the Japanese film.
On the Japanese
series.
Right.
But what I wanted to look up was if it made its money back. Its budget was $25 million at that time, which was 1970. That was a lot of money.
That would have been a huge amount. Yeah.
but it made 37 million back. So it made its money back, and then some.
Just yeah. So yeah. Um.
I was afraid that I was going to see that it lost money at the box office.
Yeah.
Because
No.
it really is a very grandiose, epic war movie.
Mhm.
There are other films around that time. A Day Too Far, I think, was one of them.
A bridge too
Or
far.
maybe A Bridge Too Far.
Bridge too
Yeah.
far. Yeah.
The Longest Day. That's what I'm getting too mixed up at once, because again, they all start to mesh together and be the same epic World War II film. All got a huge cast, humongous casts, and yeah, I just see them as kind of propaganda. And they're long.
Yeah.
They're usually long. They're like 3 hours long usually. So it's just long, tedious. Just okay. Okay. War's hell. We get it. You know.
Right.
You know, it doesn't always end out the way we want it to. So yeah. So again, if you're into that kind of thing, if you like to watch the war films, watch them all. You know, go see them all. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. There was that. Yeah, that run. Like you said, there was a bridge too far. There was another one called the bridge of Remagen.
Yeah.
You know, and
Battle of the Bulge.
the Battle of the Bulge. Exactly.
St. Bismarck.
St. Bismarck. Yeah. Yeah. All those great movies.
Race the Titanic. Sorry.
Now you're just getting silly.
Now I'm getting silly. I'm just getting silly.
You're getting silly. So anyway, so that was my number 4 was the Tora, which I, you know, there was a movie called Pearl Harbor with Ben Affleck,
Michael Bay.
and that one was just like
Did not make my list.
Oh man, it was like,
hey, look, Cuba Gooding Jr. is going to save Pearl Harbor.
Yeah. You know, which that character deserved a movie of his own. And he was also featured. He did make an appearance in Tora.
Show me the machine gun.
Exactly. Show me, yeah.
Greetings.
Oh,
hello.
Hello, Dana. So
anyway. Yeah, that did not make my list.
Yeah. Not one of the better movies. Even
I was waiting for the Transformers to jump in and save the day.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, that's why I much prefer, you know, if you're gonna give me a true story, give me the true story. Don't guss it up. Don't dress it up with some phony love story, you know, just to, you know, I guess for the women folk or something. I don't know. I mean, that might be a little misogynist to say that, but
again, Titanic. You know,
exactly. Titanic.
They were trying to do Titanic all over again because the women, and you know, no.
I think that was that exactly.
Wasn't doing it.
Yeah. So, all right. So, did we cover your number 4 or?
Yeah, Apocalypse Now. Number
Apocalypse
5.
Now? Number 5. What's your number
5? Saving Private Ryan. I felt it deserved a place on the top 5 list. You know, it's that movie to me is kind of drawn out and depressing, but I get it, you know. And again, the message is very clear, you know. When he turns into the old guy at the end, and was I a good man, you know, to his family, and I mean, they killed Vin Diesel. Was I a good man? Sorry, spoiler.
Yeah.
So, but again, you know, you get Tom Hanks doing some of his best work post Forrest Gump, and you got Ben Affleck. You got you know a bunch of young character actors.
Matt Damon.
Matt Damon. What did I say?
Ben Affleck.
Ben Affleck. No, that was the other one.
Yeah, that was the other one. Yeah.
No,
Matt Damon, Tom Sizemore.
Damon.
Yeah. Tom Sizemore before he went, you know, before we found out, you know, about his problems.
I think he was in his problems at the time he made that.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
got through it all right. They got
got
through it
through it.
okay.
Yeah,
Um,
and like you said, Vin Diesel.
Vin Diesel.
Yeah, yeah. Didn't make my. It was going to be in my top five, but I thought, again, we talked about it at length on another show.
Yeah.
So I want to kind of get some fresh movies out there that we hadn't ever talked about.
Okay, I'm a hack. Thanks.
But no, 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 no. But yeah, no, I absolutely agree with you though. I mean, it does deserve a nod and a mention. It's in fact it's my first honorable mention. Um, and it is another great Spielberg movie. Another one where people say that that opening scene. Well, the opening battle scene of the Normandy invasion
Oh yeah. Oof.
is one of the most authentic and certainly one of the most harrowing depictions of that campaign or that assault.
Except for the stuntman.
Yeah,
If people have seen the stuntman, they know which scene I'm talking about. Where they shoot up all the people on the beach, and the director makes you feel like it was real, and it turns out to be, oh, okay, it's not real. Okay, good.
yeah, yeah.
Cut.
Yeah, I haven't seen the Stuntman in I don't know how long.
Yeah.
Peter O'Toole
Pizza.
and
Oh, two.
Steve Railsback. Yeah, yeah, that's a good movie too. But anyway, yeah. So Saving Private Ryan, good choice. Good
Okay.
choice. Yeah.
And that's
Well,
my 5 list. Your
so
number
that's my
5?
five. So my number five is a Vietnam War movie, and it's probably one that has slipped under the radar. Uh, Probably, yeah, it's probably a deep cut. I was going to go for some of the obvious ones like Apocalypse Now, Platoon. There's a great movie with Burt Lancaster called Go Tell the Spartans. All those.
So glad I found out I'm what?
Glad it was found out that he was dyslexic, and because he thought it was the movie was called Saving Ryan's Privates.
Oh,
No, that's the porn version. That's the corn version.
that
of
was
that.
Brittany, wasn't it?
Yeah. So
Yes,
Saving
saving
Ryan's
Ryan's
Privates.
privates.
Starring Jenna Jameson. But anyway,
Not to be confused with the Sperminator.
exactly. No, so getting back to my number five.
Buttman. I'm Buttman.
Oh man.
We should do a show devoted to porn parodies.
we could definitely do that. Yeah, yeah.
Splatman.
Good thing we're not. We wouldn't have to be afraid of being demonetized. So yeah, we could get away with that.
What
We
do we
might
got
get
to lose?
canceled, but
Only 25 people watch your show. Who are they going to tell?
exactly. Oh man!
Ouch. Sorry.
Ouch.
Hey,
Hey, it's okay.
could be worse.
Could be worse. Could be raining. Oh man, he's totally derailed me here. So my number five is a movie called 84 Charlie Mopic.
Oh, yeah. I never heard of that one.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's on your top 5 list.
And it's my top 5 list.
Wow.
It is. And I honestly, I don't even remember. I think I was looking at a list of, Vietnam War movies, and I thought, well, what's this one about? Well, it's a documentary style movie. It's almost kind of like a found footage film. Again, following this group, this rifle squad, they're a group of pathfinders, forward observers during Vietnam, and it's shot from point of view. Like I said, it's a U.S. Army training film, basically.
Mm.
Uh, but it's kind of low budget. A lot of unknown actors, but still,
Does it
and
look
that works.
authentic?
And that that works on its favor. It's very authentic, and you really feel like, again, because the way it's shot, like you were there. You are in the shit, as they would say. You're in the jungle with these guys, and
Do you know where you are, baby? You in the jungle. You're gonna die.
exactly. No, I just think of that scene in Tropic Thunder. The guy's talking to the director. You gotta put those boys in the shit. So
That's
anyway,
Nick Nolte, right?
Nick Nolte, yeah.
Yeah, put him in the shit.
Put him in the shit.
Let him say whatever they like.
Exactly. But anyway, so yeah, so it's a very, you are there. It's a very and like I said, it's a
All right,
movie
the name
that
of it was again. I'm going to write this down.
it's 84 Charlie Mopic, and Mopic standing for motion picture. It's the Army's movie division.
Okay.
So 84 Charlie is their MOS number. Anyway, so like I said, I could have chosen Apocalypse Now. I could have chosen Platoon, and they were actually on my list. But I kept thinking about this movie. It's like I really want to promote it a little bit more, because it really deserves to be watched. It really deserves to be seen as a very different take on a different but similar take on the Vietnam War, and the men who had to fight it.
Is it like handheld camera footage or?
Yeah, I mean, this guy has and it's he's having to lug this 35 millimeter camera around. That was there was no little tiny cameras back then. So yeah. And every now and again you see the cameraman, and every now there's this new lieutenant who is kind of leading. He's kind of his commander, and again you get the some of the characters are a little bit cliche. I gotta admit, the sergeant, or who's leading the squad, he's this hard-bitten combat vet, who doesn't have time for all this nonsense, and all that. And you got the wise ass who's short, so you figure, oh yeah, he's going to be the first to die. But no spoilers. Anyway, but it's still a good movie. It's still a good movie, And again, like I said, it's low budget. It's not Apocalypse Now. It's not with cast of thousands. And I think that's what gives it that feeling of authenticity of you're just with this, and not so much authenticity, but intimacy is the word I was.
Okay.
Anyways, okay, so that's my top 5 list.
Ray, was there anything you wanted to add to those? No.
Yeah, no, there is. I wanted to say Dana also is talking about Forrest Gump, the war sequence and
Oh yeah,
that sort of plot, and I loved that too. I thought that was fantastic. Yeah, really good. I loved Platoon and I loved Apocalypse Now. My dad was in Vietnam, so he was watching Platoon, so I think that resonated with him as being more realistic. I know, Rory, you talked about those two being more realistic for people who are actual veterans of the Vietnam War. So I grew up like watching those. And
Re-experiencing them with your dad.
Exactly, fun times. So no, but really, I think a lot of people my generation, I think, grew up that way with a parent or an uncle or somebody saying, "Hey, this is what it was like," or whatever. And so it just on a day like today, but also every day, we just keep in mind what people went through, and that's really important to do that. And so those movies are the ones that come to my mind most of all. And Dana said, "How about war songs? Top 3 each." Look at
Shiver wings across your chest. These are men, American special. Time for our honorable mentions list. The movies that we didn't think were the top 5, but they definitely deserve a mention.
Yeah.
I'll start with a couple. We'd already mentioned All Quiet on the Western Front, which is a German
Right,
take on
right.
World War One. Glory. We didn't do any Civil War movies today. Glory deserves a gander. Great performances, great
Oh
cast.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Denzel Washington, that was his breakout, I think, his breakout movie.
Definitely, yeah.
I'll
The
say,
Great Escape.
let me just say Glory. Yeah, they showed that to us at like in middle school in the school theater, and it comes out with a bang. Literally, I mean, it's like you see someone's head explode in the first 30 seconds, and we were all like, "Wow!" Are they, But
Cool.
no. But here's
The
right. No,
school
really.
board approved this? Whoa.
But here's the thing. Like Glory. Okay, you know how they say a certain segment of men think about the Roman Empire like every day, and then a
Yeah.
certain segment of Americans think about Abraham Lincoln every day. For whatever reason, I think about Glory every day. Like I think about that movie, Matthew Broderick and Denzel Washington, and every scene is like there's an indelible mark in my mind. I can't get over that movie, and maybe
I
it was
think
because
about Denzel Washington's back getting whipped every day.
well, the tear, he was so great with the solitary tear going down, but the defiant look and on his face, and gosh,
Yeah.
that was my favorite Denzel because after that, I didn't like him as much, but I liked that Denzel of it. But yeah, just
Yeah.
know whenever you're like talking to me, at some point, probably 18% of the time, I'm thinking of
Yeah.
Think about
Glory
Yeah.
Glory.
at
Well,
the
yeah.
same time.
Denzel Washington, Morgan Freeman, Andrew
Yep,
Brower,
so good, so
Matthew
good.
Broderick, of course. Yeah, great cast. Yeah, yeah. I can see that. I can
Cara
understand.
Ilwis.
The 300. Yes. This is Sparta.
There's a
Yeah.
movie that didn't make our
Now we're
list.
going. Now we're going way back. Yeah. Yeah.
There's a war movie for you. Deserves an honorable mention. The Great Escape
Great Escape. Yes.
with
Yes.
Steve
That's on my
McQueen.
list. Steve McQueen.
Kelly's Heroes.
Kelly's Heroes. Yeah. One of my
Love
favorite
Kelly's
movies.
Heroes. Just a great ensemble cast.
Yeah. Telly
It's not
Savalas.
necessarily a war movie. They're trying to find stolen loot, but
It's a caper movie disguised as a war movie.
there you go, different
And
angle.
Donald Sutherland as the tank commander.
Yes.
Oh,
Oh man,
yeah.
he was
You're
the Chong of his time.
Yeah.
Before Chong.
You're harshing my positive vibes, man. You're harshing my positive vibes. There you go with those negative waves, man. We talked about Lee Marvin earlier. Got to mention,
The Dirty Dozen.
Dirty Dozen.
It's on my list.
Yeah, yeah. Inglorious Bastards, the original one with Jim Brown.
If for nothing else, to watch Hitler get his face machine gunned.
Yeah, the Tarantino remake. Yeah, exactly. But I was talking about the original one. Love that one as well with Jim Brown. But no, both of them are really good.
I never realized there was another movie called Inglorious Bastards until just now.
Really?
I thought that Tarantino's was it.
No, there was
it was a
remake. It was a remake. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Just some that I didn't list on when I sent my list to Renee. There's a movie called with William Holden. Well, besides Stalag 17, of course, there's a movie called Von Ryan's Express, where they group of Allied soldiers, prisoners actually, wind up stealing this German train, but again, it's one of those it's more of an action movie set during wartime.
Okay,
but it's a good movie if you just want good solid action movie. And again, I
forgot to put Stalag 17 on my list, and it belongs there.
17, 12 O'Clock High,
Full Metal Jacket.
Full Metal Jacket. I'm surprised that we didn't mention that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we talked about it. But we talked about it before.
Just Arlie Ermey's performance alone as the drill sergeant.
Yeah.
Makes it just wonderful. But you get D'Onofrio, you get Matthew Modine.
Yeah.
Interesting Kubrick film.
Yeah. Memphis Belle. I wanted to mention Memphis Belle, about the famous World War II bomber, and again, I think, in fact, I think Matthew Modine was in that one too, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and
And
Billy
you just
Zane.
reminded me of one that I hadn't thought of until just now, and that is Navarone. Not
The Guns of Navarone.
no, Force 10 from Navarone.
Force 10 from Navarone. Yeah,
with Harrison Ford and Robert Shaw.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Guns of Navarone.
Another
The Guns of Navarone
Gregory
is another
Peck.
good film. With a good cast.
Gregory
David
Peck.
Niven,
Yeah.
Gregory Peck.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I guess it just holds a spot in my heart, Force 10 from Navarone, because I was
Force
just
10
a
from
kid when
Navarone.
it came out in the theaters. We just thought it was so cool. We got to see Barbara Bach naked, Richard Kiel and his Chetnik giant, and and the twist ending where you're like, oh no, it's like sequel. So yeah, Force 10 from Navarone definitely deserves a nod.
Yeah.
Harrison Ford's war movie.
Harrison Ford's, exactly. Yeah.
With Robert Shaw and Edward Fox.
And Edward Fox. Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, there you go. So
that's it for me.
that was our
I'm spent.
And Apocalypse Now and Platoon were the
I've
other
used
ones
up all my ammo
on my list. So praise the Lord and pass the ammunition. Talking about war songs. We could talk about Sergeant York with Gary Cooper.
Can you recap?
Can you recap your picks?
Okay. Platoon, Schindler's List, Patton, Apocalypse Now, Saving Private Ryan. My honorable mentions: Glory, All Quiet on the Western Front, The Great Escape, Kelly's Heroes, Full Metal Jacket, The Dirty Dozen, Inglourious Bastards, and I added Force 10 from Navarone, which is a lot of honorable mentions.
Yeah. Mine were Big Red 1, 1917, Tora Tora Tora, Letters from Iwo Jima, and 84 Charlie Mopic, which I think I may have switched a couple, but those are basically mine. A lot of the same honorable mentions. I think I added The Great Escape and The Dirty Dozen to that list. So, yeah,
those were on my list.
Yeah. So, all righty. Well, there you go. Those were our war picks for this week. Next week we get back to talking about an actor, and I've been excited about finally getting to this particular actor. We've mentioned it before in other contexts, but we're going to talk about the man himself, Jack Nicholson. Yeah. So that was a terrible Jack Nicholson impression.
Well, I'll tell you something.
There you go.
It wasn't all that bad. Got to do this.
Oh yeah.
All right. We're gonna finally do it. We're gonna cover my work.
That's right. So that'll be next week. Jack Nicholson. So what's coming up for the rest of the week? As of this broadcast.
Roland Pruitt and his Kaiju review tomorrow, and General Howitzer and his Big Monster Briefing Room on Thursday are both going to do the same film, Atragon, which is a Toho Japanese kaiju film. Although the kaiju in it is Manda, and he's only in it for like 5 minutes. But They both decided to do this film, and it just happened to be scheduled on the same week. So you're going to get two different perspectives of the same movie, Actragon. So there it is for that. I'm not sure if Sandy D's got a no icing this week. I'm sure we'll find out soon if she does. But yeah.
Excellent. All right. Sounds good. Atragon, so be there or be square for Roland Pruitt. And
On the giant submarine that can fly.
yeah. So
one of my favorite war movies.
Okay. Miss Renee, do you have any parting words for us?
Nope, we're good. We're good to go.
All right then. Well, in that case, thank you for watching this episode, and we'll catch you next week for Jack Nicholson. Thanks for watching this episode of Two Guys and Sometimes a Gal Talking About Movies. Be sure to like, subscribe, and click that notification bell to get future episodes.